There used to be a time where I would have been heartbroken to hear that so many video game studios are now being shut down, but honestly, I could care less. Their ranks are filled with people who actually hate gamers and do not care about the health of the industry. And now we're finding out that EA has apparently canceled their upcoming Black Panther game. They're closing down the studio. But when you know that there are narrative designers on this title who have proudly bragged that their previous games had no white people on the dev teams, yeah, you're not going to get much sympathy from me. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, I have talked about this game a couple of times on the channel, and none of those times have been very positive. It had to do with individuals affiliated with this project who hate gamers and who apparently do not like white people. Racism at its finest, and now we're finding out that apparently EA has canceled this project outright. So this is an IGN article. This news is just breaking. It says Electronic Arts is canceling its planned Black Panther game and shutting down the developer Cliffhanger Games, IGN has learned. In an email sent to staff from the EA Entertainment president Laura Meal, she has said that these changes, alongside other recent cancellations and layoffs, are being done to sharpen our focus and put our creative energy behind the most significant growth opportunities. Now, a major problem that companies are facing are the individuals that are a part of these teams' ranks and people who are very, very bad for their public image. People affiliated with companies like Sweet Baby Inc., individuals who have come out and said very racist things but believed that they could get away with it simply because they were being racist against white people. These are not individuals that companies want to be seen with anymore. They don't want to have these people part of their ranks seemingly because of the fact that it loses them money. They're talking about, oh, the most significant growth opportunities, anything having to do with Sweet Baby Inc., whether it is working with them directly or working with one of their current employees or ex-employees, does not mean growth. It says, though, in addition to closing Cliffhanger and canceling Black Panther, EA is also laying off some individuals on both its mobile and central teams. Now, this is not unique to EA. There are a lot of companies right now that are going through layoffs, that are going through restructurings, that are changing up the company internally. If that will actually change anything when it comes to the content that they're creating, well, it will take a bunch of years to figure that out, though seeing games like this get canceled definitely point to them going in a drastically different direction. Now, unfortunately, for the few good people that might have been on this team and might have been excited to actually create this game, this title's image was already tarnished because of a select few. We know that an ex-Sweet Baby Inc. employee, and she was at the time a current EA Marvel Black Panther narrative designer, was seen proudly bragging that a previous title, Validate, had no white people on the dev team. Imagine if a white person came out and was like, hey, you know what was great about our last game? The fact that there were no black people on the dev team. They would be canceled immediately because racism is racism, but apparently to individuals like this, racism is okay when it's against white people. For an example of this phenomena, look no further than the fact that Danny Lalanders, an associate narrative designer for EA subsidiary and current Marvel's Black Panther developer Cliffhanger Games, once openly and proudly bragged that she specifically and actively avoided hiring white individuals to work on her previous indie title Validate out of fear that their mere presence would create an unsafe work environment for its dev team's non-white members. Yikes, let's just admit to illegal hiring practices here, guys. The very definition of a video game developed by Tumblr, Validate Struggling Singles in Your Area, is a visual novel / dating sim wherein players are tasked with not only choosing who to date amongst a veritable United Colors of Benetton ad of the most stereotypically diverse characters one could imagine, but also choosing whether or not to enable each character's awful behavior and leave a trail of broken hearts behind them. So you probably haven't heard about this game. There's a good reason why, because it is trash, and absolutely nobody seemed to enjoy it. But speaking at a Game Devs of Color Expo, she admitted that the visual novel had a team of mostly all people of color, and they had no white people on their team. I did that because I wanted to create a safe environment, and I know the best way for an environment to be safe is to be around people who are just like me. Yes, because living in an echo chamber is definitely the way to go. And Savvy had also just posted this at the breaking news. If true, this is the writer Alexa who recently gave a GDC talk about why lowering your vocabulary is needed in the writer's room using mentally ill Tumblr language. Looks like a certain person did get some ideas. It wasn't just what you expected. And Alexa here has on her bio writer, narrative designer, and professional yapper for video games, TV lit, now senior writer, Marvel X EA's Black Panther, plus secrets. So these are the types of people that they were employing, which is why they are not going to get my sympathy. Of course, you as a human being are allowed to have your own opinions, but when you post them publicly, we are also allowed to criticize them because of how absurd they sound, and that is exactly what people are going to do, and of course had done in the past when we first learned of these individuals' affiliation with this game. And now that EA has canceled this title and they're closing Cliffhanger Games, I'm not going to sit here and say poor developers, because again, there are always a few good apples in every bad bunch, and I'm sure that there were a few people working on this game who were just genuinely passionate, people who really love the video game industry, people who wanted to make a good experience, but it was probably overshadowed by the activism that was going on at the company. And now that we're finding this out, of course, gamers are saying, oh no. Anyway, I mean, I had posted that myself over on X, and I mean, my post is getting a lot of attention, but there's people saying not surprised, sitting here trying not to laugh. Oh no, imagine my shock. I hate to be negative, but whenever something gets canceled these days, my first reaction is that it's probably for the best, and I agree. I don't want to sit here and point and laugh at people losing their jobs. I don't want to revel in that, but on the flip side, how am I supposed to sit here and sympathize with these people after they've said these terrible things, after they've basically admitted to wanting to destroy the gaming industry? Redundant with Rise of Hydra releasing this year, this could also be a reason, but this Black Panther game has been in development for a couple of years now, so maybe the project just wasn't shaping up the way they expected it to. Maybe they decided 1943 was actually good enough. Who knows? But we're not getting any details right now, though I think that we'll probably see some of these devs come out and absolutely trash EA over this decision. And nothing of value was lost. Know your place, trash. Oh no, what happened? Anyway, that's one way to dump DEI without having to pay separation pay. People just shaking their head and smirking and laughing and saying dunked, oh no. Anyway, so I'll definitely be keeping my eye on this. I have a feeling that these people will probably come out and will probably attack EA and talk about their time at Cliffhanger. And at this point, we have no other details, but it will be interesting to see if we get any more. And I guess who is going to be next on the chopping block? What other studios are going to go under next? But that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like, and if you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I'll talk to you all again in the next video really soon.